And as you can see, I got my green screen up again behind me. It took a little bit to set up, but I got it going. And today we're gonna just be talking about how to record in Ableton Live, how to get this stuff going in here. It's not super different from what we did in Pro Tools before. Let me just give this set a name. And put this in the teaching one in my Ableton. Do I have an Ableton one? Thought I did. Maybe not. So, hold on, let's see here. Teaching projects. Ableton, recording, audio recording. Ableton, there we are. Okay, Stephen Winfield. And Martin. Martin, you wanted to talk about some stuff yesterday. Antonio, please put your last name in here. I can never remember your last name. You always put it in here. It always takes me like a while to find you because you're the only person who's not putting their last name in. I can find you. I mean, eventually I'll get better at it, but right now I still don't remember last names. All right. So we're going to talk about Ableton Live, recording in Ableton Live, and it's very similar to Pro Tools. Yeah, we'll talk about the synth project. Just remind me later. Yep, just remind me later. It's very similar to Pro Tools, and so basically whenever you're recording in any DAW, the first thing you want to do is make sure that your setup is good for your audio interface and everything. So what we're going to do here, to do that, we're going to go into our audio, our preferences, and that's up here under File, under Live Preferences right there. So there's that right there, and in here you need to go into the section marked Audio. And here we're going to set up our input and our output device, and we kind of mentioned about this yesterday, but we got here the input and output. So my input is going to be my Universal Audio Thunderbolt. My output's going to be the same, and I'm just going to make sure my input configuration is set up. So right now I only have 2 inputs going on the back of this thing. So I'm just going to have it set for mono and stereo. And if you wanted to name these in Ableton Live, kind of like you can in Pro Tools, I'm going to name this one. This one here is my my sub 37, and this one here, I'll probably make it into my mini brute. My mini brute 2. I don't have that set up right now, but that's probably what I'll do for it. So I have this, and over here I could make it stereo input 1 and 2, like I can name that if I wanted to, but I don't really have anything stereo right now. So I'll hit OK, and that'll change it so in my audio, that'll change from my audio. And then let's see here, Martin says the 90-day trial for Live starts when you install it or when you open the DAW. I actually don't know which one it starts from. Probably from when you open it for the first time, but I'm just guessing on that. That's not, I don't know that. Zephyr, we need to talk during Zoom. So don't you please come to the Zoom and let's talk in Zoom, all right? Just we need to get caught up on some stuff, because I haven't seen you in a while and you missed the stuff we did last week. So I got my input output set up, and here I've got my buffer size set to 128 samples. So this should be good for this. So I'm just going to close out my preferences, and now over here In my audio section, I'm just going to go here to my audio. I'm going to name the track first. We're going to call this one Tony Vocals. Oh, yeah, I got you, Jason. So here, Tony Vocals and audio from, I'm going to say external input. And in this case, actually, hold on. Let's see. I'm going to set this for input 2. Put my mic into input number 2, and I'm going to rename it. Actually, let's go over here. Get this a mic / input 2, mini brute 2. Boop. So now go in here to my external in, and here it'll say whatever it is on the input here. There's that. Got my microphone. And this is, I've got my microphone here, and you can see nothing's really happening yet. Check, check, 1, 2, check, 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 1, 2, check, check, check. Why is that not sending it through? This was happening to me the other day, actually. And I'm beginning to think I have a bigger problem going on. Check 1, 2, it's not going into my system. So let me open up my console. And this is something y'all probably won't have to do. This is like a thing with check, 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 1, 2, check, hey, check, 1, 2. So I got this going. Hey, check, check, check. But it's not passing through. So I'll have to get my audio coming from somewhere else. Check, 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 checkity check. Settings, inputs, outputs, and oh, this is why. My inputs here. There we go. Check, check, check. I think that's probably why. Input 1. There we go. Hey, check, 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 1, 2, check. Hey, 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 hey. Are you going through now? Yes. Okay, cool. So now I got this set up here in my, let's save this. Save. There we go. And if you don't have like an Apollo Twin or something that's got its own setup here, you're not going to have to go through that step. That's like that's specifically to the Apollo Twin, or anything that's got like its own like you know, the Apollo Twin is actually there's a pretty hefty setup going on with that. So that's why we have to do that. But so now you can see I've got a green light going on here. Right there. Hey, 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 I've got this green light happening. And now if I hit record, hey, check 1, 2, you can see the gray is happening right there. And if I go in here, let's set up a metronome and go on that. Hey, 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 hey. Okay, y'all are hearing stuff, but I'm not hearing that. Hold on a second. Weird. That's super annoying. Oh, it's because it's set up for my arrow. Cool. Let's see. That should work. All right, let's see what happens. Hey, hey, hey. check, 1, 2. Check, check, check. Cool. Check, 1, 2, check, check, check. Okay, now I can hear myself. All right. So I go in here and I hit spacebar. Y'all can hear that. I can hear it. Everybody can hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. And you can hear that's a bit off from that because there's some latency going on somewhere. But in order to fix that, all I do is I just go down here. And in Ableton Live, it's super easy. If you just want to fix a loop, I can just drag this over here like this, and now we're good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. And so you can hear, and that's how all it is for recording into Ableton Live. That's like the basics of it. Okay. That's the basics of it. But you can see that if the more complex your setup gets, the more steps you're going to have to jump through, the more hoops you're going to have to jump through. So you start to understand things pretty quickly. And this is like one of the reasons why this is like so complex is because I actually have 2 different interfaces that I've been using back and forth. And so it's kind of been messing with my setup a little bit here, but I'm going to quit out of that. So we have this here. I got this little recording that I did. Now, we can record in 2 places in Ableton Live. You can record into the session view here, or we can also record into the arrangement view here. So if I wanted to record into this view here, I can just go ahead and hit the record button up here. And as you noticed, that I just hit the other record button a second ago, not the one up there. I used the record button in my clip. So I was using this record button right here. And it was the same way I was doing some MIDI recording yesterday, if you were paying attention. But if you remember, sorry, 6th Avenue is being noisy. If you remember from yesterday, when I hit play on a clip, it didn't play until the downbeat of the bar, and that's because of this here, the 1 bar global quantize here. And that's the same thing for recording. So if I've got like a drum beat going, let's go ahead and grab a drum beat. I'm going to get the get this one here, the pajama beats. Let's get this one here. Oh, cool. Jason, you're here. Jason, I don't know if you were around on class on Friday, but we need to do a meeting with you. Nick is going to need to do a meeting with you today. So make sure you get in touch with him so you can have a one-to-one meeting with him. All right, so I've got this beat here, and if I want to record something into this, I can just record myself counting again. What I can do is I can just go over here, hit play, and listen to that beat. When I'm ready, I can hit the record button. And it's not going to start recording until the downbeat. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Now you can hear with this recording there's a lot of like low frequencies and stuff because I'm basically just talking straight into this microphone that's just like a regular straight up normal handheld microphone, and so it doesn't have a lot of good like breath rejection and stuff like that, and I don't have a pop guard or anything like that. So if I want to get rid of some of that just kind of with plugins, what I can do is I can go over here and I can grab my EQ8, throw that in, and just tune this up here.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So there you go. You can
2, 3.
hear that.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so we have that there. Now, I want to point out to you, and this is the same thing with Pro Tools, but we didn't really go into it too much in Pro Tools, is that this doesn't record the effects. So if I record, let me just go ahead and stop this and I'll do it again. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you hear how different that sounds, and if I turn it off, you can hear it's going back to its normal sound, is because it doesn't record with the effect on it. The effect comes after the recording, and I can even make that more pronounced. Here, let's use this overdrive here. Check, 1, 2, let's just listen. Check, 1, 2, hey, this is me recording with a little overdrive here. You can hear there's some sound. It sounds like I'm going through like a kind of a loudspeaker or something like that. So we got this sound, and what I'll do is I'll record my voice like this.
1.
Let's stop that. Go ahead in here. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you hear, oops, let me stop this. So you hear that. And so what's happening with that is that it's recording it, the vocal clean. And if I go look at my vocal, this vocal here is a clean vocal recording. But we can listen to it through these plugins, and it doesn't record the plugin. So that's quite important to kind of understand. And that's the same for Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton Live, any kind of DAW that you're using. All right. So let's just take a stop here and just take a look at the notes, just see how this stuff all works together. So 2 places you can record is the arrangement view and the session view. And when you're recording audio from an external source, you set your audio from on the track to external in, number 1 or 2, wherever your source is plugged in. That's this right here. I got external in set, and then I've got this bottom one here set to number 2 in, because that's where I've got my mic plugged in. Now, monitor has 3 settings here: in, auto, and off. Off means I'm not going to hear my voice if I'm talking blah 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 blah. No, I'm not hearing my voice. Auto means that I will hear my voice if I've got this little record arm button set down here. Let me just show you that. So as long as this is on, you can hear my voice through the effects and through Ableton Live. But if I turn this off, you're not going to hear my voice through Ableton Live. And then the monitor in means that you can't hear anything that's playing on the track. So if I have stuff on the track, you can't hear it. You're only hearing the audio coming through the track from the outside. Okay. So generally, if you're playing stuff from the track, you're going to have, like if you're recording vocals and stuff and you want to hear it as you're recording it, you can turn on auto. And then when I click this on and off, I can hear my voice through the effect. But if I just want to record my voice, I don't need to monitor it, I don't need to hear it, I just want to record it. I know it's going to sound pretty good. So I can use off and I can still record and I'm not going to hear anything. I can see that it's coming in, but I'm not going to hear what it sounds like. Okay, this is like especially good for when you're recording from one track to another track internally within Ableton Live. And then if I want to use my audio track as an aux track or for subgrouping or something like that, or for pulling instruments in from the outside world and I don't want to record them, I just want to listen to them, then I can set in like this, and it doesn't matter if I have this track record enabled or not. So that's the 3 settings there. We'll come back and talk about those settings another time. So if I'm recording to the arrangement view, let's go back into that, and that's the arrangement view is up over here. And let me grab this drum loop here, and I'll set up the drum loop. There's my drum loop. I've got 16 bars of drum loop now. And over here on the right side, you can see over here is all the different settings that I've had set up before, just the same settings that are over here in this view. Here it's the same exact stuff. It just looks, it's kind of on its side instead of up and down. And so over here, I can go in here and I can hit record on the track. And I can hit F9 on my keyboard to start the recording and hit spacebar to go. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, one thing you're going to notice is with Ableton Live, unlike Pro Tools, I can just start and stop recording whenever I want. So I can start recording here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just hitting the F9 key to start and stop my recording. So I can just go like this. I just started my recording, and you can see I'm recording my voice right now, and I'm going to stop right here. Start up recording again right here at the end. Okay. So I can start and stop recording, and it hasn't been recording the whole time, it's just, there it is, doing that. So if I go back and listen to it,
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
and you can see that's where I stopped. I can skip over to here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Okay, and that's how you can do a recording into the arrangement view. It's the same as like Pro Tools or something like that. Ableton, Logic and Pro Tools are all act pretty much the same. The main difference between Pro Tools and Ableton Live is that Pro Tools, if you want to record like this, you have to set it up into punch-in overdub mode. Whereas Ableton Live, it just works like this naturally. Okay. So another thing when we're recording is that in Ableton Live, it doesn't have playlists like Pro Tools does. Pro Tools has playlists, which are pretty dope. Let me just show you real quick how Ableton Live does loop recording. So I'm going to set up a 2-bar loop, and I don't have to hit anything special to do loop recording. I just have to hit record. So I'll just do this. Turn the recording on. There we go. Now I'm recording, and this is automatically going to be a loop record, and as you can see, it's recording over itself. And this is what, like, Pro Tools and Logic all act basically the same way, but Logic has what they call take folders, and it will record stuff into take folders. And Pro Tools, you can set it up to do a new playlist on each loop recording. With Ableton Live, it doesn't have that feature. So if I'm recording, it's just going to record one big long audio file. So what I can do is I can take this now and I can stretch it back. So you can take it and grab it and move it back. And it's actually recording the whole time, but it's not, it looks like it's recording over itself, but if you click and drag it across, you'll see that it's not actually recording over itself. It's actually recording a whole audio file that you can then manipulate and do stuff with. So I could go in here and listen to this.
Recording on. There we go. Now I'm recording, and this is automatically going to be a loop record. And as you can see, it's recording over itself. And this is what like Pro Tools and Logic all act basically the same way. But Logic has what they call tape folders.
So you can see that everything just got recorded in, right? So are there any questions with the stuff so far? Any kind of thoughts about this or questions? No? Okay. Cool. So I'm just going to delete that. And just like with every other program, Ableton Live, the shortcuts are super important to learn what they are, and yeah, make sure that you got those. And let's see. All right. So we can also set up locators and stuff. Let me go ahead and get this. Here. I think I might need a better cable here. It's hard to see, although might possibly be my studio at home. I just don't have my push is a bit hard to see because I don't have it plugged into the wall. Let's see here. Device. Note view. I'll just get a baseline coming from one of these over here. Let's see. Use this one here, and I'm going to put this into this mode here. Let's see what that sounds like. Cool. All right, so let's say I got these things here, and let's get some kind of music loop. Let's see if we can find something in the key. Oh, lo-fi piano there. Let's see if we can get this one here. Let's see if that'll work. Push that down a half step to match the key that we're in. No, that's not going to work. Let's see. Is there anything in here that'll work? Same key, B minor music loop. Let's see what that one sounds like. Ish. Okay, so let's just say, I mean, whatever, I'm just going to call that working for now. It's close enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to lay some stuff out in my arrangement view, basically like the assignment yesterday and what I showed you all yesterday. Here, you can just grab this here and lay it out. I'm just going to make a 16-bar loop to work with here. Hit F10 to make sure it all goes back to the arrangement view. I don't need my I/O section right now. Cool. So I'm going to go in here, and what I'll do is I'll just kind of lay this out real quick a little bit. So move this over to here, and we'll get rid of the bass right here, and then everything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a marker at the beginning of everything. And the marker, you can set a marker by clicking on this button right here, the set button, or you can go over here and right click up in the top and say add locator. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I usually have mine set to the M key on here, and so I can hit M, and it'll put a marker there. So I've got a marker right there, and I can come over here and I can hit M again and hit M and hit M where these things happen. And I can click on this and hit rename, Command R to rename the marker if I want, the locator. I'll call this one top. And this one here will be pad in. And I hit tab key to go to the next one, and I'll say bass out. And then I'll say pad only. There's that. So now we can see I just named all my different ones here, and I can go over here and I can change this one here by hitting Command A on it. So there's that. So now if I want to skip around to different parts of my song, I can do that. Cool, so I got that there. And now I can just skip around. I can say, okay, I want to start recording at this part or that part or whatever it is. So I can skip that part to start recording there. All right, and this is all explained right here. So set locator marker, right click the timeline, add locator, or click the set button in the top right of the arrangement view. Set playback start from the locator loop, right click the locator loop and set song start here. So what this does is it means that if I'm working on a certain specific part of my song and I want to always start the song from there, you'll notice that when I click around in here, see how I click and it starts my song from different parts. Right? But if I don't want it to start from different parts, if I want to click around and do some edits and do some things like that, but I don't want it to keep starting from a new part, what I can do, let's say I want to always start from right here for now. I right click and I set up set song start time here. And now, no matter what I do, if I click around, it's always going to start from that part of the song. If I turn that off, it's going to start from a different part. So you can see how that works there. All right. So this here talks about the monitor position, which is over here. It's this one here, monitor. See how my monitor is set here. And basically it's just explaining what we just talked about. The monitor position of the track should be set to off. Default, this prevents feedback. But you won't be able to hear what you're recording in live unless you set the monitor position to auto or in. You don't want to use in for recording your vocal or microphone or something like that. You want to use auto and then use the record button. Now, if you're recording into the session view, it's the same setup as before, but you're recording into clips, not tracks. Record as you would a MIDI clip. Clip, record button, start recording, and then the launch button starts the clip looping. Okay, so what I mean by that is, if I hit go with this, let me just loop a section of the song over here. I'll loop these 2 bars. So it's going to play those over and over again. So what we're going to see is it's not playing anything from here. It's just playing stuff from the arrangement view over here. But I can still record into here. And I'm not going to record until it's time for me to record. And I'm going to stop recording and it's going to loop what you've been seeing me do this whole time. Okay, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3,
So now, while it's recording, I can make adjustments to this in real time. Oops. Sorry. I can make adjustments over here to this in real time. So, so I'm going to change this warp mode down here.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
And you can hear it sounds really good here with Pro. Pro is what I always use for vocals, for warping vocals and stuff. And you can see I just changed my timing of everything here. Is what I just changed. And I could move stuff around even more. That around.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Or I can lock this in place
4,
here.
1,
Move this part around.
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
So you can see you can change all that stuff there. And this is just the same as Elastic Audio and Pro Tools. I kind of prefer the way that Pro Tools does it, but this way is also really easy to use. And it sounds really good if you use this Pro mode. And we'll talk about these warp modes later. So that's recording into the session view. And you'll notice that when I do my recording, so let me just point out something here, up here in my clip. When I hit record, the playback button is going to be red. So let me stop this. See how that playback button is red there? Well, that means that clip is recording. Here, let me record onto a different clip now. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
3, 1, 2, 3.
So you can see here that this one here is now a playing clip. And I don't have to do anything to go from recording to playing. I just hit the play button. I just hit that red play button, and it starts looping that. And if I want to look at it down here in the bottom, there it is.
3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so we can see how that works there. Cool. So, are there any questions about this? No? Okay. So, what we're going to do is talk about recording from one track to another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some kind of effect on my voice here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
So I'm going to put an effect on here, and so we can record the effect. I'm going to take off the overdrive. And yesterday somebody was mentioning about beat repeat. And so let me just show you all beat repeat. This is an effect that comes with Ableton Live. I'm just going to use some Ableton Live effects right now. Beat repeat comes with Ableton Live. It's up here. And it's pretty okay. like I said yesterday, the one that I would recommend if you like beat repeat is from those Isotope plugins that are $50 for the pack. The one that's the good one in there is called Stutter Edit, and we'll take a look at that as well at some point. But here's beat repeat, and what I can do is I can go over here and I can open up a preset for beat repeat. So here's this one here.
1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
And you can hear it's doing different stuff.
2, 3.
Right, so that's what beat repeat does. Actually, let's not use that one. Let's use the grain delay. Grain delay is pretty fun. Grain delay, you can do some interesting stuff with it.
1, 3, 2, 3, 4.
So if I want to record that, what I can do is I can go over here, I can make a new audio track, and this here is in the notes. So we're going to make another audio track here, recording from one track to another. I'm going to make another audio track. I'm going to give it a name. We're going to call this one Vocal Effects Bounce. So we got this one here. And it says step number 1 is on the playing track, set audio 2 to the recording track's name. Now there's actually 2 ways you can do this. And I'm going to kind of show you both ways here. On the playing track, set audio 2 to the recording track's name. And on the recording track, set monitor to audio. So we're going to go over here and we're going to do this one down here. Audio 2 to my one that I just called Vocal FX Bounce. And over here, monitor is going to be set to auto. And I'm going to hit the record button down here. So what this means is we're going to be able to hear this. I'm just going to make sure let's go ahead and turn these off for a second. Okay, I'm going to hit record in here. And now I just recorded everything I was just playing around with there. Just recorded everything I was just playing here. And I can just stop and start looping it there, so we can hear both of these at the same time. Okay, and you can hear how that works there. Now, once I'm done recording, if I want to hear my original track again, I set the audio 2 to master. That's what I just did there. And this is one way to do it. It's not my favorite way to do it. I don't think it's the best way, but basically here, the level of the playing track will affect the recording level. So if you do it this way, if I adjust my level of my playing track, watch this, let me set it one more time. Vocal Effects Bounce, I got this set up here. And now, go in here and I hit record. So if I move this one here, you can see this one over here goes down as well. This one is not going to be it's not going to affect anything, so we're good here. But you can see that's affecting my level of my recording there. So if I go in here, we're going to see how this part here got really quiet right in here. That's because that's when I turned my volume down on this first track. And generally we don't want to have that affecting one affecting the other. We want to kind of keep it so we can, like I like to keep it so I can actually mess with my volume levels without everything being affected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this a slightly different way. I'm going to put my audio here, audio to my master. Just keep going out to my master. And this here is the second way to do it. So the second way to do this, these are not steps, by the way. It's not step number 1 and step number 2. These are different ways to do this. So on the recording track, what we're going to do is we're going to set the audio from to the playing track. We're going to set the input. So here, I'm going to go down here to audio from. I can turn this off my microphone because I'm done recording. So I'll turn that back off. There we go. And over here, audio from is going to be set to this Tony Vocals track. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my mixer section here to be post effects, not post mixer, post effects. And then we can set our to auto so we can hear it, or we're hearing it already from this track here, so we don't need to hear this one anymore. We can just turn that to off and leave it go, and that's how the default would be. So here, set the on the recording track, set the audio from to the playing track, and then choose from pre-effects, post-effects, or post-mixer. Pre-effects is the audio will be captured before the effects, but after the instrument plug-in if there is one. Post-effects, the audio will be captured after the effects, but before the mixer level. And then post-mixer, the audio will be captured after the mixer level. So the safest way to do it is to have it set up for after the post-effects, after the effects. And here's a little illustration to show that. Post-effects is this first one here. It's after the instrument plug-in, but before the effects. Post-effects is, or sorry, pre-effects. And then post-effects is after the effects, but before the fader. And then post-mixer is after the fader. And there's your audio from with the choices here in the normal settings. Make sure you have record enable turned on, and then you can play it back. Wait, did I record? Oh, hold on, that's the wrong one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to hit record. And now I can start recording that one. I mean, playing it.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And this is what I just recorded here.
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And you can hear suddenly it sounds louder. Well, the reason why it sounds louder is because my track I was listening to before was minus 7.5 decibels. Or dB. And so this one here is set to 0 dB, but because I was recording post-effects, it was recording from before the fader. This fader here, this minus 7.5, was not being taken into account. So the recording was actually louder than this minus 7.5. So when I go back over here to 0, it's going to be my full recording. If I want it to sound exactly the same, I set that for minus 7.5. Can you do a deep dark voice like the Allstate guy? Actually, you could, but I could actually do that without using effects. I can just do that using the transpose functionality over here. Set that down to about 6, and now I'll take it later. Thank you. Oh, okay. So that's what's, yeah, so you can make that happen there. Right, so, cool. Yeah. And that's the basics of recording into Ableton Live. That's like pretty much everything right there. Or recording audio, I should say, into Ableton Live. So the main things I want you all to remember is that when you're recording in Ableton Live, and we're going to talk about this because we're going to talk about MIDI here in a minute, but when you're recording into Ableton Live, when you hit the record button, happens with this global quantize here. That's the first thing. That's the first thing when you're recording, you know, the play and the stop and record. That all happens when you hit that global quantize button. Okay, it's not going to happen until the downbeat, wherever you have that global quantize button set up. Make sure you have your inputs and outputs set correctly. And then remember, if you're recording and you hit the play button, it's going to loop around. So that is, that's how that works. Camillo, you're here. There you go. Cool. All right. So that's what's up with that. Let's go ahead and take a break for 10 minutes now. Just to do a 10-minute break. Let's be back at 10:45 because I want to talk about, what are we talking about next? Forget off the top of my head. Oh, we're going to talk about MIDI next. So I want to talk about MIDI and how Ableton Live does MIDI. And we're kind of we're doing 2 lessons today because the recording audio part's not really that long of a lesson. So after we come back from the break, we're going to talk about recording MIDI and how to do all that stuff. All right? So let's go ahead and